that you are having a good day so far. Today, we'll be doing our grade 1 English lesson on adjectives. So, we'll be doing our grade 1 English lesson on adjectives. And before we start with the lesson on adjectives, we are going to log into aplusstudents.ca. Once you've logged into aplusstudents.ca with our username as well as our password, and then we're going to select the subject of language arts and then grade 1. Once you've selected the subject of language arts grade 1, and then can we scroll down up until we get to the chapter of adjectives. And the lessons that we're going to be focusing on adjectives, right? So firstly, the chapter is adjectives. The subject is English, which is language arts, grade 1. And the lessons that we're going to be focusing on is to use sense words and to identify adjectives. So we're going to use sense words and to identify adjectives. And we are doing our lesson on aplusstudents.ca. So we're doing our lesson on aplusstudents.ca. All right, so sense words. So they're saying we're going to use sense words. So sense words are to do with your senses, right? So we have our senses where we can touch, we can feel, we can smell, we can hear, we can, I'm not sure if I said see, right? So that is like a few of our senses. So we're going to use sense words to basically describe or to tell us more about the specific noun. So an adjective, it is a word that tells us about the person, tells us about an animal, tells us about the place or thing. And some adjectives that tell how a noun looks, sounds, tastes, smells, or feels. You see, so that is what I was mentioning about the senses, right? So we see that adjectives, it tells us about the noun, right? And a noun is basically telling us about the person, animal, place, or thing. So an adjective, it tells us how a noun looks, right? How it sounds, how it tastes, how it smells, or even how it feels. So it's basically describing something, let's say describing a person, animal, place, or thing based on how it looks, based on how it sounds, based on how it tastes, smells, or feels. Yeah, like for example, pink, right? It's like describing something and or describing someone, and you say that the person smells like roses, or the person smells like something that you would just describe someone as. If you are familiar with someone, you would be able to tell who the person is based on the sound of the person's voice. And that is what we mentioned also about you will be able to tell about the person, animal, place, or thing based on how they either look, sound, how, let's say, how something tastes, um, how someone smells, or sometimes feels. Can even say she likes pink. Yes. And maybe you can say that she likes pink based on the fact that this person usually likes pink, or the fact that the person constantly wears pink, or literally everything is pink. So now you can describe somebody as liking pink based on the continuous either wearing of pink, or anything that the person has on his or her would maybe be pink, right? Sometimes, like we say, smell. You can maybe say that you can maybe describe somebody or identify or know who you are talking to based on the smell or the scent of someone, or feeling, right? It's based on how someone feels, right? The feel can even be, or let's say maybe like if you specifically make mention of an animal, if you don't see it, if you're blindfolded and you don't see it, and they put the animal in your hand, then you'll be able to feel the difference maybe between what a cat and maybe what a dog is, right? So that is also how you'll be able to tell what or how something is based on either the looks, the sounds, the taste, the smells, or feeling. And we call those sense words, and that is to do with our senses, right? Which is sight, which is hearing, which is taste, smells, and feeling. So that is our senses. And like we said, an adjective, it tells us about a person, animal, place, or thing. Remember, an adjective, it also describes a person, animal, place, or thing. Or we can even say it modifies a person, animal, place, or thing. And we can do all of those based on looks, sounds, taste, smells, or how it feels. All right. So now, if we look at a few examples of let's say sight words, right? Here's a few sentences of sight words. Example, the sun looks bright. So basically, how would you describe or tell about the sun, right? We can then say the sun looks bright, which means that the word, the adjective that describes the sun would be bright, right? So bright is the adjective. The drums sound loud. This is not to do with hearing, so sound. So the drums sound loud, right? Which means that loud is our adjective. Or if you were to say the drums sound soft, right, then soft would have been an adjective because it describes or tells us how loud or how soft the sound of the drums are. These cookies taste sweet. So these cookies taste sweet. So if we describe how the cookies taste, and then we can say the cookies, they taste sweet. So sweet is our adjective, right? That tells us how the cookies taste. And then the air smells fresh. The air smells fresh. What is the adjective within that sentence? Yes, if we identify the adjective, we would say fresh, because it basically describes or tells us how the air smells, which means that it smells fresh. So fresh is our adjective. And then my hair feels soft. My hair feels soft. And how can we describe the hair? Then we would say soft. Yeah, beautiful. Soft is correct, right? So you can either describe your hair based on feeling, which is either soft, which is hard, coarse, right? You basically describe your hair depending. Smelling fresh, smelling not fresh, stinky smell, right? These are all describing or telling us about the noun. And we said that these are sense words. So the words that I'm going to underline in blue are our senses, all right? So looks, sound, taste, smell, feels. Those are senses, right? Our five senses. And the words in underlined in red are our adjectives, which describes those senses. All right. So these are our sense words. All right, so now we go to A plus. We can go to aplusstudents.ca. And we say that the two lessons that we are focusing on is to use sense words and to identify adjectives. So we are going to focus on that under the chapter of adjectives. And once again, an adjective, it is a word that tells about a person, an animal, a place, or a thing. And we said some adjectives either tell us how, some adjectives they tell us how a noun looks, sounds, tastes, smells, or feels. Right? And we made examples of sense words. And we, for example, said that the sun looks bright, which means that bright is our adjectives. The drums sound loud, which means that loud is our adjective. These cookies taste sweet, which means that sweet is our adjective. And the air smells fresh. Fresh is our adjective, and my hair feels soft, and soft is the adjective. And these were our five senses that we were able to, let's say, describe, or we were able to tell about these five senses. It says, look at the horses. Legs. We need to describe a horse's legs. All right. So we see that the look at the horses, we can say long legs, which means that you can actually use any word to describe the legs of the horses, all right? But in this case, we're going to say, look at the horse's long legs, all right? And that is how we are describing or we are telling more about the specific noun. And there we have it, that the best answer is long, which means that the horse's legs are long, and it tells us how long the horse's legs is. It tells us, it gives us, if we make mention of it based on the senses, we can say that it looks. It's the looks, right? It is long. All right. It says the drum makes a noise. How would you be able to describe the noise that the drum makes? How would you be able to describe the noise that the drum makes? We can say the drum is loud. How else would we be able to describe the sound of a drum? So we can say that the drum sound is loud. How else? We can even say it is soft, right? So we can either say it's loud or we can say it is soft. And loud is correct, right? Loud is correct. All right, the baby's hands are. If we describe the baby's hands based on how it feels, how would you describe the baby's hands based on how it feels? Ooh, so in this case, they're saying that the baby's hands are dirty, right? Which means that maybe the baby was either eating something or messy, right? But it is dirty. Or it can be clean, or it can be small, or it can be soft, right? That is how we basically describe the baby's hands. All right. So now we're going on to our test, right? Where we are using sense words. Our dog's nose, it feels. How does a dog's nose feel? Does it feel cold or does it feel pit? So if we look at the test, it says our dog's nose feel. Does the nose feel cold or does the nose feel pit? Yes, so we can say the dog's nose feels cold, right? Because that is based on what we have here on the test. So we can say the dog's nose is cold. And cold is correct. So well done, guys. Look at the horse's legs. Is it the run legs or long legs? So look at the horse's legs. Is it the run legs or the horse's long legs? You're now by the horse's legs. Is it long legs or run legs? And if we select the correct answer, we can say, look at the horse's long legs. Yes, and long legs is correct. So our dog sleeps all day. Is it our nap dog or our fat dog sleeps all day? So do we say our nap dog or our fat dog sleeps all day? So we can then say that our fat dog sleeps all day. So our fat dog sleeps all day. And there we have our correct answer, which is fat. Because a fat dog naps, right, or sleeps all day. And this road is, do we say this road is wide or this road is bumpy? So this road is, do we say this road is wide or this road is bumpy? So this road is. If it's not a smooth road, then what kind of road is it? And we can say that this road is bumpy, right? Because we can't say the road is ride. We need to ride on this bumpy road. And now it says the room is the room dark or is the room window? Dark or window? So we need to choose the correct one. All right, so we can then say the room is dark. So the room is dark, yes, because of, let's say the windows are dark, right? And the boy pulls a hold wagon or a red wagon. The boy pulls a hold wagon or a red wagon. So we will say the boy pulls a red wagon because now we're describing it based on the color, right? It's like somebody said early on, someone likes pink. So in this case, we are pulling a red wagon. And the cookies smell, do we say smell bake or smell good? So the cookies, they smell. How would we describe the cookies based on smell? Is it bake or is it good? And we can say that it is good, right? They smell good. Because bake is something that you do. All right, so now we're going on to identifying adjectives. So we need to identify adjectives. It says find the adjective. Chang sang an old song. Chan sang an old song. What is the adjective within that sentence? The adjective within the sentence. Chan sang an old song. No. What type of song? Remember, we are describing the song. Let's describe the song. So Chang sang an old song. How would we describe that song? That would be our adjective. How would we describe that song that Chang sings? Yes, so old is correct, right? Because you can either say it's an old song, a new song, a R&B song, depending on whichever specific song that you listen to. A pop song, right? So in this case, we can say that Chang sang an old song, which means that old is the adjective, right? So old is the adjective. All right. So basically, we described the type of songs as old songs that Chang sang. And an adjective, once again, is a word that tells us about a person, animal, place, or thing. And some of the adjectives, they will tell us what kind. Like, for example, old, new, bright. So, once again, an adjective, it tells us what kind. An adjective is a word that tells us about the person, animal, place, or thing. All right. So, based on the identifying and explanation of an adjective, right, we said an adjective is a word that tells us about a person, animal, place, or thing. And some of the animals that tell us what kind. So, if we basically want to tell what kind of adjective it is, or what kind it is, or let's say the noun, what kind of noun, it says Tom sees a big truck. Tom sees a big truck. So we can say we see a big. So big is the adjective that describes, and it describes the truck. And then we have a red ball. Red ball. How would we describe that ball? So some of the adjectives, like we said, it tells us what kind. And then we have some adjectives that tells us how many, right? They tell us how many. Kim sees two trees. So Kim sees two trees. So they tell us how many. So it says Kim sees two trees. So it's like asking yourself, like, how many trees do you see? Then we say two. I have 3 dogs. I have 3 dogs. So, how many dogs does this person have? And this person has 3 dogs. So, 3 is our adjective. And it basically tells us either about a person, a place, a thing, or an animal. And it will either tell us what kind, this is not the adjectives, will either tell us what kind, or the adjectives will tell us how many. All right. I ate 4 cookies. What is the adjective that tells us how many? I ate 4 cookies, which means that 4 over here is our adjective because it tells us how many. And remember, some adjectives, it tells us what kind, and some adjectives, it tells us how many. And how many is sometimes in numbers, more, less, fewer, many. So we said that I ate 4 cookies. I love sunny days. How will we describe the days? What do you like? The adjective. So I love sunny days. And we can say sunny. Sunny days. All right, now we're going on to our test where we are going to identify adjectives. So we need to find the adjective. Brad read 2 books. So Brad read 2 books. Remember we said adjective, it either tells us what kind or it tells us how many. So if we select the adjective within that sentence, we will say 2. Because that basically tells us the amount of books that he read. So 2 is correct. So well done. Gabby has a new ring. Gabby has a new ring. Is it new or is it ring? So Gabby has a new ring. Is it new or is it ring? All right, so some people say new, then let's put new, right? And new is correct because it tells us about her ring. I see a big horse. Is it C or big? I see a big horse. So I see a big horse. What is the adjective within that sentence? Is it C or big? And we're going to say big horse, right? So it describes the horse. So it is big, right? So big describes the horse. And frogs have big eyes. Frogs have big eyes. So frogs have big eyes. And if we describe the eyes of the frogs, then we can say it is big eyes. And then 5 birds flew by. 5 birds flew by. Is it birds or is it five? Birds or five? So we're going to say that 5 birds flew by. So which means that five is our adjective. And it tells us how many. Yes, correct. 5 is correct. And then we use shiny paint. So we use shiny paint. Is it shiny or is it paint? We need to find the adjective. Shiny or paint. And if we look or find the adjective, we can say shiny is the correct word. So shiny paint. And leads to the last one. Brown bears eat fish. Brown bears eat fish. What do brown bears do? Is it bears or is it brown? To describe the bear. So brown bears eat fish. So what type of bears eat fish? Mm-mm. Brown bears eat fish. Remember, eat is it's a doing word. So we can say brown, and it basically describes in color what kind of bears eat fish. No, brown bears eat fish. Remember, eat is a doing word. Brown bears eat fish. How is the bear being described in color? So, how is the bear being described in color? So, if we find the adjective, we can say the brown bears, they eat fish. So, brown is our adjectives. So, this is the end of our lesson grade 1 on adjectives, and we focus on two specific lessons, one of it being use the sense words. And remember, our senses are to hear, to see, to smell, to feel, right? Those are our senses. So we then were able to describe those senses, right? All right. So till next time, goodbye.